Hello, 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 and good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Monday Marketplace Mantle. I just put some product in my hair. Still kind of damp, but I love my hair, just in case you were wondering. Yeah, we're doing our 3-minute grace period right now. Thank you for tuning in. So if you're jumping on, say hi. Sometimes I can see the comments. Sometimes I cannot see the comments. I see one person has joined. So say hi, put a heart or a like in there, and let me see if I can see who it is. But it doesn't matter if I can see who it is or not. I'm moving forward either way. So today is Monday. This is week number 17. So I've been at this for 17 weeks. And I'm going to do it for 52 weeks to give you a whole year. It looked like that was Marquetta. Marquetta, was that you that's joining with me today? I see like 3 people are here right now. Say hi, say hi. We will get started at 12:33. And today's topic is the responsibility of leadership. The responsibility of leadership. Because if you're a leader, there's some responsibility that you have that goes along with being a leader. So I want to give you 3 points today about the responsibility of leadership, and then we'll be moving right along. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys coming in here. Please like and share. Please like and share. Share with a business bestie. Share with a nonprofit organization. Share with somebody that's in business or even thinking about business, because in all those capacities come with a leadership responsibility. Even if you're, because when I was thinking about doing this today, even if you are a housewife, you have a leadership responsibility because you have to lead your home. Hey, Megan, thank you for tuning in. We must get together really soon. I see you're doing great things here in Florida. So yeah, even if you're a housewife, there's responsibilities that you have, things that you have to do to be a leader. So being a leader, there is responsibilities that comes along with that. So that's what we're going to discuss today. We got 1 more minute, and then I will jump on, introduce myself, and then we will get started on our topic for today, the responsibility of leadership. Please like and share. Please like and share. So, hello, 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 and welcome to Monday Marketplace Mantle. So if you're in the marketplace, whether you're a leader in ministry, in your business, or nonprofit, you're carrying the marketplace mantle. So in carrying the marketplace mantle, there's certain responsibilities that comes along with that. And I come on here every Monday for about 20 to 30 minutes, no more than 30. I'll be trying to do less than, but it always goes to 30. I'm not going to go more than 30 minutes to just share with you all some tips and some prophetic strategies on how to steward your leadership well. So today's topic is the responsibility of leadership. If you don't know, I am Teresa McCurry, the CIO, Chief Inspirational Officer of Super T Inspires, and I'm also the co-founder of McCurry Ministries International. While my husband and I help people that are in ministry, marketplace, and marriage to equip you to steward the assignment that God has given you well. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, Patricia, thank you for tuning in. Please like and share. Please like and share. It's raining here in Florida, so I'm praying that my connection don't mess up, but we're just going to go ahead and get started. So with that, the scripture for today is, where did I put my scripture? Is Luke 12:48. Luke 12:48 says, "For everyone who much is given, for him much will be required. And to whom much has been committed, they will be asked the more." So what that is talking about, the Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. So if God has given you these responsibilities to steward over, he requires more from you. Hey, Sharice, thank you for tuning in. He requires more from you. So in that, effective leaders require stewardship. As your business, your nonprofit, and your ministry's influence grows, so does your responsibility to lead with integrity, We have to lead with accountability, wisdom, and discipline. So there's a discipline that comes with the responsibility if we're going to steward that responsibility well. So the first point that I want to tell you all about today and give you is leadership requires accountability, not control. Leadership requires accountability, not control. So the difference between control and accountability is that I expect you to do the tasks that are set before you, but I don't want to control you and tell you how to do it. I remember when I had my salon and spa about 15 years ago, I would tell the ladies and gentlemen that work for me, I don't care how you do it. You can moonwalk, you can jump, you can skip, you can do black flips. I just need you to get to this bottom line. So whatever's comfortable for you, the way that you do it, being a macro manager and not a micro manager. I'm a macro manager. At least that's where I like to be, macro managing, just giving you the assignment and letting you do it, opposed to micro managing, telling you how to do everything and to do it this way, dot the I like this, cross the T like that. That's not my management style. But I have had to work with people in the past that needed micromanaging. And if they needed that micromanaging, then at that particular time with that particular individual, I had to become a micromanager. So knowing in your leadership style and the responsibility of leadership, when people are on your team and they need certain things, then sometimes you have to come up out of your comfort zone and lead them the way that they needed to be led, even if it's just for a short period of time, because there's always a learning curve. There's always a growth period. So when you're working with different people on your teams, learning how they need to be taught, or am I a visual learner? Am I a hands-on learner? And then putting things together to help them learn the tasks that they need. So number one, leadership requires accountability and not control. Great leaders do not build organizations by controlling people. They build healthy cultures by creating clear expectations, managing and measuring results, and holding themselves and other people accountable. So I can't hold you accountable if I'm not going to hold myself accountable. So I have to hold myself accountable too, and then I can in turn hold you accountable. So accountability asks these kind of questions. What am I responsible for? So I ask that of myself, and then I ask my team to ask that of themselves. What are they responsible for? What is the task that you have been given? 2, what outcomes am I expected to produce? So as the leader, what outcomes am I expected to produce? And as your team members, what outcomes are they expected to produce? And then the third one is, how do I help others succeed? As a leader, I want to put policies and procedures in place to help others succeed. And it's funny how sometimes you're doing things and you want to help others succeed, but so many people have been wounded in the past that they can't even receive your help so they can grow. Because if I am looking out for you, I'm always looking out for your best interests. My intentions are always pure to help you to succeed. But some people have been wounded so deeply in the past that they can't even receive your help. So with that, I want to, hey, Prophet Blue, thank you for tuning in. I want to help you with that. So not being controlling or control people that want to control others, as how do I make everyone do what I want them to do? I don't want everybody to do what I want them to do. I need to help them do what they need to do so we all can succeed. And that's almost like, I remember like 25, 30 years ago, my Lord, time is flying, that I used to do speaking engagements. And when I did speaking engagements, people would say, so you're a motivational speaker, right? And I would say, no, I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm an inspirational speaker. Where it's the same. No, it's not the same. So to me, a motivational speaker motivates you to do something that they want you to do. I'm motivating you to help me get to an end. I'm motivating you to help me reach these sales goals. I'm motivating you to help me. But an inspirational speaker inspires you to do something that you want to do. I inspire you. I want to inspire you to wake up something on the inside of you that you want to do. So there is a difference in a motivational speaker and an inspirational speaker. There's a difference in motivating you to move and inspiring you to action. Because I can motivate you to move and you can make some baby steps and you can move forward a little bit. But if I inspire you to action, I want to ignite something under you that's always been in there, and you just needed a little push, or you just needed a little inspiration, or you just needed a little encouragement to help you do something that you already wanted to do. So there's a difference in inspiration and motivation, at least in my book. Some people say it's the same, but to me it's a difference. So with that, business owners and nonprofit leaders create systems to empower people rather than micromanage them. Healthy organizations thrive when roles, responsibilities, and deadlines are performed with expectations are clearly communicated. So we write everything down. We communicate that clearly. We all can move forward and we all can win. I love to be in win-win situations. I want to win and I want you to win. I want to gain knowledge and I want you to gain knowledge. So in that, I'm saying what we should probably do as it relates to leadership requires accountability and not control. We should evaluate an area of our business, our ministry, our nonprofit that could have a little confusion in there. And if there's an area that you can think of that has a little confusion, I want you to do several things. One, I want you to define the responsibility. Who's responsible for what? Who's going to do what? Who's going to be accountable in this area? And then what are the desired outcomes? So if there's some confusion in there, that means the outcomes are not crystal clear. What are the desired outcomes that we want to see in that particular situation if there's some confusion there? And then we want to come up with some deadlines. Let's get it done. Because what I find, some people, a lot of people, if you don't give them a deadline, it won't never get done. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then it's 2 weeks later. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And then it's 3 weeks later. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And it's 2 months later. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And then the whole year has passed and it still hasn't been done. So even if you don't reach the deadline, but it'll help create a discipline in you that these things are necessary, that they require a deadline, that there's a sense of urgency, that these things need to be done, okay? And then the accountability process, who's going to answer to who to make sure that everything on the agenda gets done. And how success will be measured. How will we know that we've succeeded at that? Will success be measured by how many people attended? Will success be measured by how many lives were impacted? Will success be measured about how much money we brought in? So only you can define or have the definition of success for what it is that you are creating. All right. So point number one, leadership requires accountability, not control. Point number two. Time be going fast. Point number two, every leader's decision creates a ripple effect. Every leader's decisions create a ripple effect. Teresa, what you mean by that? So what I mean by that, when you make a decision as a leader, it doesn't just affect you because you're not working in a silo. You're not working on an island. So when I make a decision as a leader, it has a rippled effect. It affects my employees. It affects my staff. It affects the volunteers. It affects the clients and or the customers. It affects the donors and the supporters. It affects the board members, the business partners. It affects some families, the communities that you serve. So every decision that you make as a leader has a ripple effect. When my husband makes a decision, it affects me. And then when it affects me, it affects the children. And then when it affects the children, it also affects the staff members. So every leader, so think about that. I remember I was a part of NLDP, that's Neighborhood Leadership Development Program. And they did a diagram about that. So they drew a circle, and then in the circle, they put another little circle, and they said, this is the decision that you're making. And then with the little circle, they said, this is the decision that you're making. And then they drew a line outside of the circle and put another circle. When you make this decision, it affects this person. And then They drew another circle and that person in a line. And then when you make this decision over here, it affects that person. Then it comes down and it affects this person. And by the time it was over, it was like a whole diagram with all these different circles on the diagram. And it showed that this one decision as a leader, the decision that I made as a leader, had this rippled effect, and all these other people were affected by the decision that I made. It was like, okay, so then that makes you not make willy-nilly decisions. That makes you think about the decisions that you're making before you make them. Because point number 2, every leadership decision creates a ripple effect. Hey, Adrian, I was looking for you, girl. Thank you for tuning in. I see my sweetie Greg. Thank you for tuning in. I think Celeste has joined in. Thank you for tuning in. So give me a heart so I can see if you're there, because I'm not seeing any comments if there are any comments. But I thank you guys for tuning in. So intentional leadership pauses before they make a decision. They consider the financial implications. They consider the organizational capacity. They consider the long-term sustainability and the alignment with the mission. So with that being said, it's like when I'm making a decision, every decision that I make needs to line up with my mission and my vision. So now I'm going to speak to the nonprofit people since Adrian jumped on real quick. So with nonprofits, it's like in the nonprofit organization, you have what's called a charter. So in your charter, you spell out who you're going to serve and how you're going to serve them. So when you're making decisions, it's almost behooves you to go back and look at your charter and see, okay, who will this affect? Is this decision going to affect the market that I serve? Then does this support our mission and our vision? So this decision that I'm making, is it going to support my mission or my vision, or is it going to be counterproductive to my mission and my vision? Then you want to ask yourself, what are the short-term and what are the long-term consequences? Because for every decision that you make, there is consequences. What are the short-term and the long-term consequences of the decision that I'm going to make? Then, does this create value or unnecessary complexity? So in this decision that I'm making, does it create value or unnecessary complexity? I remember we had some people on a team, on one of our teams in one of our organizations. It says, this is why you are... Thank you, Celeste. Thank you for tuning in and being one of my business clients. I appreciate you. Looking forward to hanging out with you this weekend. Woohoo! Countdown. So is this the best stewardship of our resources? Okay, back to that one. Does this create value or unnecessary complexity? What I was saying, we had a team member on our team, and we would ask her to create a SOP or create a document about something so we can have it in writing so we can share it with the team. This person would come back with like a 10-page document explaining everything. And my husband and I would be like, darling, we appreciate your attention to detail, but we need you to summarize that up in 2 pages. One, the front and the back, right? Because the average person is not going to read a 10-page document to know how to move forward as it relates to whatever is going on. So you have to think about that. When you're creating stuff, is this creating value or unnecessary complexity? Because a lot of papers doesn't mean that it's creating value. Hey, Carmen, thank you for tuning in. So we don't want to create unnecessary complexity. We don't want to make things difficult. We want to make it simple, easy, but impactful and powerful. And then the next one is this the best stewardship of my resources? So when you are a leader and understanding that all the decisions that I make have a rippled effect, is this the best stewardship of my resources? Your resources is your time. Your resources is your money. Your resources is your talents. Your resources is your volunteers, is your employees, is your, all of those are your resources. So when you're making these decisions, is this going to be a good steward of those resources? Those are questions that you need to ask yourself before you move forward as a leader. And the last but not the least point is discipline builds credibility. Teresa, what you mean by that? Discipline builds credibility. What I mean is people trust leaders who consistently follow through. If your word is your bond, if I say something, you could take that to the bank. Because if I say it, I'm going to do it. And if for some reason I don't do it, I'm going to come back and tell you I'm not going to be able to do it. So your discipline builds credibility. Your influence grows when your words and action are aligned. So if I say what I'm going to do and I do what I'm going to say, that builds credibility. It builds trust because my influence will grow because I will be known as a leader that can be trusted. I will be known as a leader. That's one thing, you know, my husband and I don't like to use the word pride. But me and my husband, we always want to operate out of a position of integrity. If Greg and Teresa said something, they're going to do exactly what they said. So that's one thing. You can't come back and say, well, they said this and they did something else. No. Now, you might not like the way that we had to correct something. You might not like the way that we had to deal with the situation or circumstances, but our credibility should be intact. We want to be people of integrity. We want to be credible. One thing we pray every day, we want to have pure hearts and clean hands. Hey, Julia, thank you for tuning in. Pure hearts and clean hands. So in having a pure heart and the clean hands, when you're dealing with people, they might feel some kind of way, but as long as that's not your intention. My intention is not to make you feel some kind of way, because what I have found is growth is uncomfortable. And sometimes people don't want to grow to that next level. They don't want to grow and be the best that they can be. They want to settle at mediocrity. And we don't want mediocrity. We want excellence. We want you to be the best. Now, excellence and perfection are two different things. So we never asked you for perfection. We asked you for excellence. And what do I mean by excellence? I mean doing the best that you can with what you have right now while you're learning to do more and you're learning to do better. We do better because we know better. If you know better, you should do better. My grandmother used to say that. You know better, you do better. So I want to know better so I could do better. You know, today we live in an age where everybody should be. Listen to what I'm saying. We live in a day and age where everybody should be lifelong learners. Lifelong learners. We should be intentional about learning something new every day. And this dispensation of time that we're in, there has never been a time in history where knowledge and resources has been at our fingertips. We walk around with computers in our hand all day, every day. We should be intentional about learning something new every day. Marketplace leaders develop habits that build confidence. So as a marketplace leader, I want to develop a habit that builds first confidence in me. And then once I have the confidence that is built in me, then I can help others build that same confidence in themselves. If they want it, you know, because people want to be spoon-fed but don't want to be accountable. Accountability is necessary for growth. Accountability is necessary for growth in business, in ministry, in the marketplace, in every area of your life. You need to have some accountability. And if you don't have an accountability partner, look for one. Look for somebody that's going to help hold you accountable to do the things that you said that you were going to do when you said that you were going to do them. So I want to leave you with this. Communicate clearly. Communicate clearly, and then always ask, is there any questions? What questions do you have? That's what I found myself asking at the end of a dispensation, at the end of sharing something. And I say, what questions do you have? And that's the opportunity for the other person to say, well, I'm not crystal clear on this. Or what did you mean when you said that? Because one thing I can say, sometimes you be saying something and people are hearing something totally different from what you're saying. And that ain't what I said. But for some reason, that's what they heard. So you want to communicate clearly. You want to meet deadlines. You want to meet the deadlines that you set for yourself and encourage others to meet the deadlines that is set before them. You want to respond promptly. That's a pet peeve of mine. So my thing is, in responding to communication, I always tell people, give me 48 to 72 hours, not 24 hours. because I'm not going to be a slave to technology. Technology is for us to use. It's a resource and it's a tool. But when you find yourself constantly on the phone, constantly responding to text, soon as you get a text, constantly responding to, give me a minute. When you ask me a question, if I'm in the middle of doing something else, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to respond to your text. That's just Teresa. So just know, when you text Teresa, I may see it an hour or two later because I don't have the notifications on my phone, because I don't want to be interrupted all throughout my day with notifications. But you figure out what works for you. So what works for me, if I'm having a meeting with you, Julia, right, and then the notifications are going off and I'm constantly not paying attention to what we're talking about because I'm looking at the notification, that's not being a good steward of my time, because my attention is divided. So if I'm having a meeting with Julia, I'm going to pay attention to Julia. And then after that, knowing me, I probably got several more meetings already scheduled. And then when I have a break in the action, I'll look at my phone. I'll see who texts me. I'll see who emailed me. I may or may not respond in that moment. So I always tell people, if you're doing business with me, give me 48 to 72 hours to respond. Now, every once in a while, there's a rare occasion you text me and I text you right back. But that's not the norm. But I communicate that to people so they don't know. Another thing, and I only got like 5 more minutes. So people laugh, but if you call my voicemail, I say, hey, this is Teresa. If you want to see a house, let me know. If however I can help you. But just know and understand, I do not return missed calls. I do not return missed calls. If you want me to return your call, leave me a voice message or shoot me a text mail, because I'm not going through my phone trying to see when and who and how I missed a call. I'm traveling a lot. Sometimes calls don't go through. Sometimes I'm in the airplane or something like that. So I don't have time to stop and see who called, didn't leave a message, didn't leave a text and say, hey, this is Teresa, you called me? I don't got that kind of time. So just know, when you communicate that, then everybody are clear. This is not how I operate. So I'm telling you how I operate. Give me 48 to 72 hours to return your emails, your texts. If it's an emergency, people will call my husband and say, tell Teresa I said, call me. I need to talk to her today. But you have to find out what works for you. What works for you. Complete top 3 priorities before starting a new project. And then I'm going to close out. So conduct a weekly leadership review. Conduct a review of the things that you have going on to help you stay on task. I have a constant to-do list, and I'm constantly marking stuff off the to-do list, putting stuff on the to-do list, and then prioritizing. And I need to do this. I need to edit this document. I need to send this email back. I need to do that. So you do what works for you. But in closing, I just want to go over those 3 points again. Okay, the one point that I wrote down that I definitely wanted to leave you guys with is, do not only pray for greater opportunities, pray for wisdom, pray for character, pray for discipline, and pray that you steward everything that God has placed in your hands well. So don't just pray for increase. Lord, increase my territory. Lord, send me more customers. A lot of times I'm dealing with businesses and ministries, and I say, if God was to send you 25 new people right now, could you handle it? Do you have the infrastructure in place to handle 25 new people? And most of the people don't. So before you pray for increase, pray for wisdom, pray for character, pray for the discipline to do the things that you need to do, and pray that the Lord will help you to steward them well. Growth without stewardship creates instability. Influence without integrity creates distrust. People don't trust you. And authority without accountability creates weak organizations. So our foundational scripture for today was Luke 12:48. For to much is given, much is required. So when God gives you much, it requires much of you. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am Teresa McCurry, the CIO, Chief Inspirational Officer of Super T Inspires. And I'm also the co-founder. Hey, Mama Joanne, good to see you. I'm also the co-founder of McCurry Ministries International, where my husband Greg and I work with ministry, marketplace, and marriage individuals to help you create your discovery, foundation, and your startup to move forward in excellence. So, peace and blessings to each and every one of you. Be blessed, but most of all, be inspired. Have a great day. Bye-bye.